My name is Jesse Gonzalez, and I'm a social studies teacher development specialist for the Houston Independent School District. And today I will be conducting a K-5 read-aloud focusing on third grade, and my specific objective is identify and compare the heroic deeds of state and national heroes. So with that being said, I just wanted to share that we're going to be using our resource that we use throughout the district called Studies Weekly. And for this read aloud, I'm using third grade, week 24. So, boys and girls, we know that in a read aloud, you're going to hear me read good reading, and this is called the Historical Community Heroes from week 24, okay? So I'm going to read this to you, and I want you to really listen. Here we go. There are lots of heroes or people that we look up to. In the world, heroes are people who have done incredible things for others. You can probably think of a few heroes who are special to you. Every community has heroes. Heroes can help shape the culture of a community. So if you notice, I've highlighted culture. And culture is going to be one of our vocabulary words today. And culture is the customs and arts and achievements of a specific society. Okay? Then our next, and here we go, just making sure that everybody can see that. I'm going to continue on as we go. Many heroes can help shape traditions of holidays and the arts. Many heroes help us to understand why values like courage and freedom are important. Some heroes inspire others to try to make positive changes. Read these stories about two famous heroes. Our first one is David Crockett. Be always sure you are right, then go ahead, is a famous quote that he said. David Crockett, often called Davy Crockett, is one American hero whose story is almost larger than life. Many people today know him as the king of the wild frontier. He was a leader, a hunter, a scout, and a storyteller, and a very brave man. Crockett was born in Tennessee in 1786. As a young boy, he ran away from home so he didn't have to go to school. He went to school only 100 times in his whole life. Crockett wandered from town to town and through the wilderness for several years. He became a great hunter and stayed alive on the harsh land. When he was 16, he finally returned home to his family. They hardly recognized him, but they were glad he was home safe. David Crockett later married and started his own family. And his wife and two children, after his wife died, he married again and had 3 more children. Crockett had little money, but always took care of his family. Crockett served in the Tennessee militia during the War of 1812. Everyone really liked him. He was later elected to the state government in Tennessee. He was even elected to the U.S. Congress. Crockett was well respected as a government leader, but was not elected for a second term in Congress. So he went to Texas and joined the Texan fighting for independence from Mexico. David Crockett died fighting at the Alamo in San Antonio. Crockett did not become a legend until after he died. Legend, So, legend is an extremely famous person, very well and known. So I'm thinking that in this text, utilizing text, head, heart, that the text is about Davy Crockett, a famous American. Okay? Let's read more. Crockett did not become a legend until after he died. People told stories about his life and adventures. Sometimes they mixed in some make-believe parts with the true parts. People everywhere liked learning about David Crockett's adventures. They wrote many books, plays, television shows, and even movies about his life. Today, David Crockett is remembered as a hero because of his courage and bravery. He fought for what he believed in, and his example still inspires us, other people, to do the same. So now I'm going to read to you some specifics around Abraham Lincoln. Whatever you are, be good, a good one. Whatever you are, be a good one. That is what Abraham Lincoln is quoted in saying. There are few men who are respected as much as Abraham Lincoln, the 16th president of the United States. Lincoln was born in Kentucky in 1809. His family struggled to survive on the very rough frontier. Lincoln had many chores to do. He often spent hours splitting log rails for fences or doing other odd jobs to help earn money for his family. Lincoln did not like the hard work, but he did it for his family. He did like to learn, even though it was not easy for him. When he could take a break from work on the farm, he often walked to the closest schoolhouse. It was more than 2 miles away. At school, Lincoln learned to read, write, and solve math problems. He was slower than most children, but once he learned something, he never forgot it. Lincoln became an excellent reader. He loved to read more than anything else. Something I noticed in the text was that Lincoln worked very hard for his family, but when he had free time, he went to school. And it was a little ways away from his home, but even though he may have had difficulty with reading, he became really good at many things, and he loved going to that small little school when he had free time. But remember, he worked really hard to support his family and to help. He did like to learn, even though he was not easy for him. When he could take a break from work on the farm, he often walked to the closest schoolhouse. Yes. And how many miles? 2 miles away from his home. So that's a lot of walking. At school, Lincoln learned to read, write, and solve math problems. He was slower than most children, but once he learned something, he never forgot it. Lincoln became an excellent reader. He loved to read more than anything else. Lincoln studied hard and became a lawyer. He married a woman named Mary Todd. They had 4 sons. And only one of their sons lived to be an adult. Mrs. Lincoln was often in poor health. Lincoln decided to run for the U.S. Senate in 1858. He did not win the election, but people did start talking about his good ideas. Then in 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected to the President of the United States. Things were hard right from the beginning. The Civil War began just a few weeks after he became president. Lincoln worked hard to put an end to the war. He wanted people to get along. He wanted all people to have freedom. Most of all, Lincoln wanted the U.S. to be a strong country. In 1863, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. And that's our third vocabulary word today. The Emancipation Proclamation is the document that gave freedom to slaves. As I just mentioned, this document gave freedom to slaves. By 1865, the war was over. Lincoln believed that he had done his job as President of the United States. Some people were angry with President Lincoln. They did not like the decisions he made during the Civil War. A few days after the war ended, an actor named John Wilkes Booth shot and killed President Lincoln. The people of the United States of America lost a true hero. Today, people remember Abraham Lincoln for his calm courage and love of freedom. He is also remembered for getting people to solve their differences by working together. So, in my heart lesson that I learned from reading this piece of text from Studies Weekly is we have 2 men who came from very almost same backgrounds, country living, but they aspired and they helped their families. And I think that's a very good thing now that we're in today's times. It's important that family stay together and work together as one. So this is the conclusion of the read aloud for social studies. And what is coming up next, you will be seeing a 3rd grade mini lesson. And today we're going to do a 3rd grade social studies mini lesson, and that objective is identify and compare the heroic deeds of state and national heroes. And today, before we begin, I just want to make sure that I'm going to give you an opportunity to go get a sheet of paper and create a compare and contrast mini anchor chart to make sure that you can go ahead and do that. So I'll give you a few seconds to get that. It could look like this your mini anchor chart, because we are going to be comparing our two famous individuals. So, and make sure that one will say David Crockett and the other will say Abraham Lincoln. Those are the two people that we are going to compare today. So if you look at our piece of text that we're reading from Studies Weekly, week 24, we are going to compare David Crockett and Abraham Lincoln. Two things they have in common. If you notice here under David Crockett, it says a quote that he is famous for saying is, "Be always sure you are right, then go ahead." So if you notice, I have written, "Be always sure you are right, then go ahead." It's a quote that David Crockett's famous for. When we come to Abraham Lincoln, he's famous for saying, "Whatever you are, be a good one." And if you notice, I have written, "Whatever you are, be a good one." These are two quotes each individual, each famous American was known for. And I need for you to write this now on your mini anchor chart. Okay? So make sure that you write this. So this was the I do. Okay? So as we continue on, we're going to move on to the we do. And I need for you to go, and I'm going to show you, we are going to go to paragraph 6. And in the we do, we're doing this together. And if you notice, Mr. Gonzalez has numbered the paragraphs. And in paragraph 6, it says, Crockett served in the Tennessee militia during the War of 1812. Everyone really liked him. He was later elected to the state government in Tennessee. He was even elected to the U.S. Congress. Crockett was well respected as a government leader, but was not elected for a second term in Congress. So he went to Texas and joined the Texans fighting for independence from Mexico. David Crockett died fighting at the Alamo in San Antonio. So if you notice here, he was not elected, but he did serve. He was later elected to the state government in Tennessee, in his home state. So if you notice here, he was elected to, he was even elected to the U.S. Congress. So notice I have put U.S. Congress. Now we're going to go to Abraham Lincoln. And if you go to paragraph 5, under Abraham Lincoln, under that subheading, and here's 5, Lincoln decided to run for the U.S. Senate in 1858. He did not win the election, but people did start talking about his good ideas. Then in 1860, Abraham Lincoln was elected the President of the United States. So even though he did not win, he ran for president and won. So here, President Lincoln, in paragraph 5, was elected President of the United States. So both of our famous Americans served their country. That's another commonality. That's something else they have in common. So I need for you to write this on your mini anchor chart, okay? So as we move on into the third part, I'm going to have you read specific paragraphs for your you do. So I'm going to give you a moment. Once again, the directions are, for your you do, you're going to go back to that piece of text, and I've even given you the paragraph 8 for David Crockett, and paragraph 9 for Abraham Lincoln, and here's paragraph 9. So 8 for David Crockett, and 9 for Abraham Lincoln. I want you to find something that they have in common and write that down on your mini anchor chart, okay? So now that you've written the correct answers, we're going to discuss what you wrote. So if we go to paragraph 8 under David Crockett, it says, today David Crockett is remembered as a hero because of his courage and bravery. He fought for what he believed in, and his example still inspires other people to do the same. So I'm going to put courage and bravery. So under Abraham Lincoln, on paragraph 9, it says, today people remember Abraham Lincoln for his calm courage and love of freedom. He is also remembered for getting people to solve their differences by working together. For his calm courage and love of freedom. So his courage and his love of freedom. And if you see, there's a similarity, there's a commonality. They both were courageous, and they were both heroes. This concludes our mini lesson for today.